Okay, folks, welcome to the Fife Property Market Update for February 2023, QVT. Hi guys, welcome to the Fife Property Market midweek show for February 2023. What the outlook is, where we're going with the Fife Property Market, or the statistics information, which will give you a bit of confidence in terms of where we are going. So what's happened so far? Here's the headlines. With the Bank of England raising interest rates and inflation high, what's happening to the Fife property market? That's one of the questions we've been asked. Also, are properties selling in Fife? And if so, what is selling? What will happen to the value of your Fife home? That's another one what we've been asked, and that's it. So let's look at the information that we've got, and we'll take it from there. So as we enter February, and the Fife and the British property market, it's really full of mixed messages overall. Feel free to ask questions as well. More than happy to take questions and answer them live on air. Whilst the Bank of England has increased the base rate 9 times in 2022, meaning that they are now 3.5%. That's 3% higher than they were 12 months ago. Mortgage rates are now dropping. I'll say that again. Mortgage rates are now dropping. Wait a minute, base rates are going up. So mortgage rates are now dropping. Why is that? Well, we'll talk about this in this show itself. Base rates may be imminent tomorrow. Bank of England Monetary Committee actually take a decision tomorrow on whether they should increase interest rates, base rates, or keep them level as well. So we'll be talking about that. The Fife property market has rocketed over the last few years because of the imbalance of the number of properties for sale versus the demand, with many more people looking to move home than there are properties available. Now, as we are over the first month of 2023, we are experiencing a steadier Fife housing market. You've probably seen that in my weekly updates at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night, where home buyers have the time and the opportunity to ensure that they find the right home for them. The days are long gone of 50 viewers per property on the first weekend of marketing. I can tell you that for a start. And frenzied Fife buyers outbidding each other by increasing their offers by tens of thousands of pounds over the asking price. And that has really become the exception rather than the norm. Although it has just happened recently where we got a property sold before it even got to a website on the coming soon launch, not even on the pre-portal launch. I often get asked for my thoughts on the Fife property market, hence I do these shows quite regularly. And at this time of year, I get asked my forecast for the year ahead. So the one big thing I've noticed is the imbalance of what is coming on the market for sale versus what is actually selling. For example, 38.2% of properties that came onto the market nationally in November, that's nationally, and December 2022 had an asking price of £250,000 or less. Yet 45.6% of the properties sold subject to contract since the 1st of January 2023 have been £250,000 or less. So that's 38% of properties coming onto the market were 250,000 or less. But 45.6% actually sold in January have been 250,000 and less, which means there's more properties actually getting sold below that and with 250,000 or less than is actually getting listed at that point in time. Let me just show you some of these numbers in graph form. Here we are here. This is the UK properties listed in November, December versus the UK property sales. In other words, sold subject to contract in January 2023 by price range. So you can see here up to the 150,000 mark, there's less properties actually getting sold, listed, than there is actually sold. See that 18.9 versus 16.1? The 150 to 200,000 mark, there's 11% getting listed of that amount, and there's 14% getting sold. So again, demand is outstripping supply. When you go to the 200 to 250, demand outstripping supply. When you go to the 250 to 300, it's becoming a level off, 11 versus 11. When you go to 300 versus 350, supply is now slightly edging towards outstripping demand. And again, the 350 to 400,000. When you go to the 400 to 500,000, 11 versus 10. When you go to the 500 versus 600, you've got 7% almost versus about 5.5%. So that's where, when you get the 500,000 upwards, this is the whole of the British UK property market, you've generally got the 500,000 upwards. Supply is outstripping demand now. You can see that there. The orange is the demand, the supply is the blue. So anything up to the point of, I would say, probably about 300,000, demand's outstripping supply. Anything from 300 to 500 is even Stevens. Demand and supply is almost the same. So people are putting it on. It's getting sold within a reasonable amount of time. And anything up from 500,000, supply is outstripping demand. Hope that makes sense for everybody. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, yet it's a massive difference to the property market. However, it's easy to look at the national averages and the regional averages, and of course the Fife averages as well. Yet the property market is just one market nationally, as there isn't just one Fife property market, I would say. However, what you've got to remember as well, the same pattern is seen in the higher priced Fife properties. These higher priced properties are now selling more slowly than the lower paced Fife properties. Therefore, the need for those larger Fife properties, I would say, need to be more realistic. So, you know, the people with the larger Fife properties need to be more realistic in pricing, which is paramount to stand out from the crowd, especially with the next point. So the next point really here is evidence actually suggests to us that there's a growth of Fife buyers who are looking to find a home before they're putting their property on the market. I mean, this was unthinkable a year ago, yet as the Fife property market returns to normality, this will be seen more and more. I mean, what are my thoughts on this? It's a good question. Actually, somebody's asked it. What do you think about this? Well, firstly, the time scale of how long it will take to sell a Fife home. This is the most important thing out here. The time scale of what it will take to sell a Fife home. I expect to see the time it takes to sell a Fife home increase from the 27 days in 2022 to a more normal housing market of 65 days, which is round about the 2 months level. Now, we have been discussing this, and I've been discussing this on the weekly updates, but I think it's really more apparent now than ever before. The 27 days on average it took to sell a Fife property in 2022 will now move out to about 65 days on average. So almost to the point of, dare I say, tripling, just under, about 2.5 times what it was normally. Secondly, the imbalance in the Fife property market. The greater number of larger homes in Fife are coming onto the market because, as mentioned previously in other blogs and vlogs, of the higher number of mature homeowners looking to downsize because of the cost of living and affordability, and the fact that they're needing to manage a home, which is far beyond what they need now. So there's no point in continuing to increase and spend money and have increased costs on something you don't really need. I mean, you're paying to do a garden that you'll probably never use hardly, because it's only maybe the two of you in a big massive house now. And that's really because larger homes have become more expensive to heat, and as many occupants are on fixed incomes with their pensions, they're downsizing to cut costs. Thirdly, what I think is most important, take a wee sip of tea. Energy efficiency. That's the third one for me. Many buyers have actually started to ask about properties' energy performance certificates, the EPCs, which will always get the ratings with the home reports. Before, it wasn't really a consideration, but now it's becoming more apparent of the energy costs, because energy costs have gone so high that a lot of people are actually looking for energy efficient homes. Now, just put one on just now, which is probably a really energy efficient home, which is Forbes Place in St Andrews. Just right now, the pre-portal's going on. I recommended to Fife homeowners considering moving in the spring or the summer to have an EPC done on the property now, as there may be points that could be easily be rectified and improved from one EPC rating band to another. So if you're considering putting your house on the market spring and summer, just get the EPC done just now to see if it's going to be really energy efficient, because it might actually tell you things that could be done right now that left to the last minute till you list. You'll then go, I could have done that, but because I've not got time to do that now, because you've put the home report together, my property's going on the market, I'll not be able to do that in time to change it. So get an EPC done now. I mean, EPC is about £100. If it means you can move from a band D to a band C, and that makes a huge amount of difference for a minimal cost. And it could be as simple as just changing to LED lighting. It could be as simple as having cavity wall insulation, which is potentially free if you look up the Energy Saving Trust Scotland online. So there's lots of opportunities to improve your EPC rating before it actually goes on the market, but without actually needing to get the home report done just now. And then when the home report gets done, the EPC rating is done at the right level. Sometimes some of these energy saving trust companies, sometimes they'll actually do that for you. They will actually do the EPC before and after, because that's part of their grant funding and how they do it. So they take the EPC before, they do the grant funded measures, like the cavity wall insulation, or they do the LED lighting, the changeover, or TVRs on your radiators, or draft proofing on your doors and windows, and then they do an EPC after it as well to prove that. So that's how they draw down the grant. So the EPC is done. That could be a potential to do that. So if you need more information, check out Energy Saving Trust Scotland. And that'll give you all the information you need to know if you can get funding towards doing any improvements to your property before it goes on the market for free, potentially. Or you can get low interest loans as well from them as well. But you need to check out their website. Okay, so many home buyers are actually asking about the energy performance certificate. This would mean that you get a lot more interest and a better price for your property if it's more energy efficient. It is becoming really important now. I mean, if you need any advice on the guidance on the organising EPC in your Fife property, then speak to us. We could do that as well for you. Can help you with that. So don't hesitate to call us or message us on this post either, and we could maybe help you with that. So what's happening in the Fife property market in terms of the new properties, aka new listings, and what is actually selling? Well, since the beginning of January the 1st, 315 properties have actually sold, subject to concluded missives. In other words, they've just sold and all the paperwork's to go through the legal system in the Fife area since that period. So 315 properties have actually sold. Now, the Fife area being everything that starts with a postcode of KY 1 to 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. However, it's essential to look at what is selling in Fife, and the most active price range is actually 100 to 150,000, where 86 properties were actually sold subject to contract, representing 27% of that actual sales figure, the 315. So looking at what's actually coming onto the market in the same time frame, though, there's 284 properties actually come on to the market in the Fife area since the beginning of January. 284 come on, 315 sold. That's more demand than there is actually coming on. So we've now got a situation where the market is very, very stable. And if not, there's a wee bit more demand than supply, which is a wee bit more of a, it's not a boom, I would say. I would say it's a good, stable market. It's a good position to be in for the Fife property market overall. Interestingly, the price range that the most listings coming on, which is actually quite important as well. Remember, I'd said the most sales are getting done since the beginning of the year is between 100 and 150,000. But instantly, the price range of the properties coming on in the most listings is 150 to 200,000. So what does this mean then? Well, this means that the Fife is actually bucking the national trend we just spoke about, where nationally the lower to middle property market is where the sales are, but the properties coming onto the market are slightly higher in price. Yet it's the same in Fife. So any Fife homeowners with properties in the price ranges that aren't selling so well need to be on point. That's one of the keys here, to stand out from the crowd regarding their marketing. Be spot on regarding their price is important compared to the growing competition of the other larger homes. As I've said, anything from 500,000 upwards is actually, there's more supply than demand actually for them. Anything between 300 to 500, it's even Stevens, and anything below 300,000 is selling quite well. Demand is often outstripping supply on a national basis. And now more than ever, the EPC rating, especially if we're on the cusp between the two EPC bands, is important. So before I conclude this, you might wonder why I haven't mentioned Fife house prices. Well, what will happen to Fife house prices in 2023 is something I'm not sure of. Yes, I know the level of frankness is something strange coming from an estate agent, but we'll have to understand the differences here. We have external factors outside of our control. Inflation for one, interest rates, base rates for another, unemployment levels for another. And these are factors it could influence the market overall in terms of the Fife housing market, in terms of the UK housing market. But let's look at this. I know prices being achieved for the homes in Fife in the spring of 2022, when everyone was outbidding each other, are not being achieved for today. So it depends on how you look at it. Are Fife house prices dropping, or are they just returning to normal? This is the question we need to ask ourselves. And I would say really the latter would be the one. However, looking at house prices as a bellwether for the health of the Fife property market has fundamental flaws. So the house price is the bellwether for the health of the market in Fife has a fundamental flaw. So why do we say it's got fundamental flaws then? Well, many economists and property market commentators believe transaction numbers, in other words, the number of properties sold, give a more accurate and truthful indicator of the property market's health than just the house values alone. The reason here is actually threefold. So there's three things to this. Firstly, most people also buy a home when they sell their own. So if Fife property values drop by 10% or rise by 10% on the one you're selling or you're buying, it will do the same with the one you're buying or selling as well. It will make no difference. Meaning the judge of the health of the property market on house prices is a bit one-dimensional, because you're just trading like for like in terms of price points if you're moving within Fife. Secondly, as most people move up the market, when they do move home, if the price for the one they're selling might not be as much as what you've achieved in 2022, if they drop, for example, the price that they were going to pay for it on the one they want will be lower as well. Thus, it will cost less for them to move up market. Because when you look at it, if you've got a house that you're selling at 200,000 and it dropped by 10%, you'd lose 20,000. If the one at 300,000 that you're buying dropped by 20%, it would lose, well, you'd have 40,000. It would lose, if it would drop by 20, if it dropped by 10%, it would lose 20,000. If the one at 300,000 dropped by 10%, it would lose 30,000. So it's actually beneficial to upgrade if the price of the property is going to drop. So, but again, you don't know that's going to happen. there's no predictions out there. People are saying it's going to happen, but local pundits in the Fife property market right now are saying the market's going to be stable and the prices aren't going to drop at all. There's other people that are actually saying the prices are going to go up. And equally, if you're trying to upgrade from 200,000 to 300,000 and the price actually goes up, and just say it won't go up 10%, but just use it as a typical example, it might go up 5%, for example. And it could do. It possibly, if the economy goes the right way, with employment levels, with the base rates, and with inflation, if it all goes the right way, it could potentially go up. And if it did go up, and you had a house at 200,000, you would gain 20,000 going up. But the property you're buying at 300,000 will go up 10% as well, which will go up 30,000. So you're losing 10,000 overall because you're gaining 20, but having to pay 30 extra. So you're actually losing 10,000 on the market going up if you're going up again. So that's why property prices in the second, when you're moving home, it shouldn't be used as a bellwether for the health of the Fife property market. I mean, look at again. We'll give you another example here. Last year, your Fife home was worth 400,000, for example, and the one you wanted to buy was maybe there's people out there buying at 750,000, and let's say the Fife house prices did drop by 10% in 2023, your home would only be worth 360, and yet the one you'd want to buy would be 675. So last year it would cost you 350,000 to move, but if the Fife house prices dropped, it would cost you 315,000 to move. It would actually save you 35,000. So that's an example I've put in here in the post, so you can read that at your leisure. But hopefully I've explained the 200 and 300 is similar in terms of the demographics and the statistics. Finally, because I said it was threefold, yeah, three. So I was putting up two there. Threefold. I've got. Finally, moving home is a human thing. Property habitually delivers a robust emotional connection with homeowners, a connection that few would attribute to their other investments, like the stock market investments or the building society savings passbook. Moving home could be described as a human journey, moving from one chapter of one's life to another. Therefore, when people do move home, it shows that they're moving forward in their lives, which gives a greater indicator of the Fife property market's health. I mean, it's only my opinion as to where it goes. A greater number of larger homes in Fife are coming onto the market because I've mentioned, as I said before, in the previous one, that's where we are right now. But we've got to take into account there's a lot more properties actually selling at this point in time. I mean, it's only my opinion. I mean, do what is suitable for you, for your family, your finances. That's what's the most important thing. I mean, if interest rates and base rates go up, you've got to factor that in. But as I said, because the market has stabilised, because the budget and the Jeremy Hunt at the helm, a lot of the money markets actually have real confidence in what's happening right now with the Chancellor. Therefore, that's why the swap rates at lending happens between the money markets is actually a lot less. Therefore, interest rates are actually coming down. Plus the fact that mortgage markets, banks are actually now beginning to compete each other because the number of housing transactions are predicted to fall. I did an article yesterday, I think most people have heard it, where there was about 1.7 trillion in mortgages. But the equity in the UK market in terms of house prices is about 10 trillion in terms of equity. So there's a huge amount of equity built up in people's homes. Therefore, if a crash happened, liquidity would always be there. Hence the reason why the banks and the building sites are actually extremely bullish. In other words, they're positive about their lending, and they want to compete for business as well, because after all, they're in the business of lending. So my final thoughts on this, though, is ignore the newspapers and look at the facts in hand. And if you want a frank chat about the Fife property market in general, irrespective of whether you want to sell or not, by all means message me or contact us. I might not tell you what you want to hear, but I'll tell you what you need to hear. That's probably the most important thing out of this. There's more information on this post, guys, about the Fife property market and where we are actually going. Interest rate decisions are taken tomorrow. I'm going to be doing another vlog later on about house prices in terms of how the nationwide see it as well, because they've put out a price a price indicator today saying house prices have actually dropped for, I think it's the 6th month in a row. Yeah, okay. Whoopie-doo. You know, that's the reality out of this is the UK house prices are actually still around about 6% more than what they were the year before, even though they've dropped month on month. Anybody could predict that doom and gloom if you look at it in small isolation sound bites. But the key here is what is the overall picture and what is the overall health of the UK and the Fife property market and the Scottish property market in general. And I think it's very, very robust and very healthy right now. And we shouldn't be looking at the property prices as the indicator and to get headlines. We should be looking at the number of transactions actually being done. And what I mean by that is, in other words, there's usually typically about 6,500 properties sold right across the Fife property market in a year. Now, there's 6,500 properties actually sold in the Fife property market in a year. And if you take on average, it maybe potentially when people go into a property, they spend a good few thousand on that. So if you take that good few thousand, and I've got my calculator here, I'm just going to multiply something up here, and you take 6,500 properties in that market sold every year, and you multiply it by, say, let's say 10,000 is the average people spend on improving their house. Some people will go the other side of that and they'll spend an absolute fortune on kitchens and bathrooms and all the rest of it. They might be paid 20, they might be spent 30,000, but other people might spend a lot less, maybe 5,000. Some people might spend 15. Okay, so we take 6.5, we'll times it by 10,000, which means that every year in the Fife property market, if somebody spends 10,000 on average on refurbishing their house, it means £65 million is spent every year on improving homes. In Fife alone, £65 million is spent. Now, how healthy do you think that is for local contractors, local businesses? Because that's where you're spending it. Spending it at the local, you're spending it at the B&Q, everybody's employed as a result of it because you're spending money there. You're spending it online in some places, but you're also going to local carpet fitters, you're going to local businesses to actually fit kitchens and bathrooms. That's £65 million spent in the local economy on jobs, creating jobs in local businesses. And then that money, then when these people make that, they then go and spend that with you as well. So all that money filters into our economy, our local economy. And what I mean by the health of the Fife property market, that's 65 million. Say that was to drop by, for example, 20%, like people were saying, in terms of, oh, prices will drop 20% if there's a crash. Say that dropped in number of transactions by 20%, maybe just say 10%, for example. So we'll take 650 off of that figure. So 650 multiplied by, again, 10,000, means that £6.5 million will not be spent in the local economy. £6.5 million will not be spent. So that 65 will drop, million, will drop minus 65000 equals, that will drop to 58 million. But more importantly, £6.5 million worth of business will be lost to local businesses itself. So you can see how the house price is not really the important point. The health of the Fife property market and any property market should be the number of transactions, because the number of transactions means jobs, money getting spent in the local economy. And that is what the health of the property market should be gauged on, not the property prices. I hope that's given everybody an insight overall into the health of our property market, but also into general where the Fife property market will be going and is just now in terms of February 2023. If you need any further questions, please feel free to ask them. And until next time, guys, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV. Bye-bye for now.